EastEnders spoilers, Bonnie Langford reveals all on the aftermath of Shakil Kazemi's death. Carmel Kazemi's whole world is ripped apart in upcoming EastEnders scenes as she is told that her youngest son Shakil Kazemi is dead after being stabbed in a knife crime attack, and actress Bonnie Langford has opened up about the devastating aftermath and what she hopes the hard-hitting storyline will achieve. As Carmel struggles to get her head around the catastrophic loss, she hits rock bottom and even makes a suicide attempt, and Bonnie is firmly behind the show for tackling such a relevant topic in London right now, even if it means saying goodbye to her beloved co-star Shaheen Jafargholi. What was your reaction when you first heard you would be doing this storyline? I think it's incredibly brave and incredibly important that EastEnders have taken on this story and that they have treated it with such sensitivity and commitment. The team have really taken every step they can to not only be sensitive but to be as realistic and authentic as possible. As an actor, I felt challenged, privileged and a huge sense of responsibility. I feel that is so much more than just telling a story. It's about sharing the very private and personal world of trauma and grief and the effects that a violent act can cause. I think it's extraordinary and I feel very proud to be a part of it. Can you talk us through the research that you have done? Sadly, I didn't have to look very far to do any research. You just turn on the television or look at the papers and every day there are more and more reports of incidents on our streets. What I think is even more tragic is that there are so many incidents that you don't hear about. It's almost become the new normal, and that's when you know there's something really, really wrong happening on our streets and especially among young people. For me, there were two main paths that I followed. One was the personal path for Carmel, for which there is no right or wrong. Grief is so personal, it's not pretty, it's dark, and I wanted it to be totally raw. The team have also been working with the Ben Kinsley Trust on the story. So I spoke to Brooke and asked her some questions about her reactions and response at the time of her brother's death. Although it seemed blunt to ask such direct questions, she was utterly gracious and supportive and gave me some insights into her way of dealing with such a terrible crime. Not only was she very helpful, but she wanted to talk about Ben to keep his memory alive and acknowledge what happened to him and try to prevent it happening again. How is Carmel coping in the wake of losing Shakil? Carmel is not coping well at all. She starts off in denial, completely refusing to accept the fact that this has happened. She then goes through an absolute roller coaster of emotions, like a massive pendulum swinging back and forth, to the point where Kush is very worried about her, and rightly so. When it does finally dawn on her that this has happened, she is angry, very angry, and in shock. She is completely lost. She loved Shakil so much. He was her baby, and she feels this huge guilt because she was away at the time of the crime having a great time. Do you think she is looking for someone to blame? I think she wants to blame everybody. She feels that these young people don't seem to understand the consequences of acting out of anger, or status, pride or greed. She thinks that they have no respect for their own lives or anyone else's. She just can't understand any of it, and she doesn't know what to do. She is determined to do something to try and make up for it, to try and change it, but of course the one thing she will never do is change the outcome for herself. Do you think it's important to show what happens after Shakil's death? Yes, absolutely. When the immediate aftermath has passed, for others the world carries on as normal. But for Carmel and the family, life has changed forever. There is an emptiness, a void that will never again be filled. Those are the times, behind closed doors, that we rarely see unless it happens to us. Ultimately, when all the frenzy is over, people are left with having to come to terms what happened, and that can be the hardest time of all. When people start saying, well, you should be over it by now, you can't tell someone how to feel. It takes however long it takes. What I think is so valuable with EastEnders and the soaps is that they are able to show those private moments almost in real time. It's important to take the time to tell that part of the story, not just the events and action, but the times when people are having to face the future whichever way they can. Soaps and continuing dramas allow the audience to share those very personal moments step by step. There is the memorial for Shakil which Linda organizes, but she doesn't want to go to. Why is that? Well, I think it's denial, it's anger. She just feels that people don't know what to say, and if they say anything that they don't mean it. She's so angry and broken. Yes, she's angry with everyone, but deep down she's also angry with herself because she always tried to protect her son, and the one time she went away just for a day it all went so terribly wrong. So she does feel this huge amount of personal responsibility and guilt as a mother. How does it feel for you to be involved in this kind of storyline? I'm absolutely privileged and honored to be part of this storyline. It is a massive challenge, and I feel such sympathy for Carmel. She's so bubbly and positive and kind, and the storyline directly prior to the crime is all about her pride in her son who's suddenly doing well, and she's tried so hard to encourage and guide him to be a good person. Her world comes crashing down and she's absolutely devastated. It shows that this is completely and utterly random. It could happen to anyone, and how someone deals with such a situation is entirely personal. But yes, I'm absolutely privileged and honored. I feel such empathy for all the people who are affected by knife crime. There are no winners. How do you feel about Shaheen leaving? I'm so sad that Shaheen's leaving. Out of all of the cast, we're probably the two that stick together the most away from work. We will meet for coffee and things like that. But I do miss my boy. He's just got such a great energy and such a beautiful spirit. He's wonderful at bringing people together. He's such a lovely light to be around. I'll miss him terribly. What do you hope the storyline achieves? I hope the storyline gets people thinking and talking. I hope that people can begin to understand the hopelessness and think twice before carrying a knife. I hope that families are able to talk and listen to each other. I really, really hope that at least one less story about a knife crime gets told, that there's one less dreadful headline. Somewhere it might change someone's mind. It might just do something good, if nothing else get people thinking and talking and listening to each other.